A storybook romance nears its happy ending as Grace Kelly boards the liner Constitution for her wedding in Monaco. The rest of the Kelly family is also Monaco bound, sailing to see their Grace become the bride of Prince Rainier III. More than 300 reporters, photographers, and newsreel cameramen all but engulf Miss Kelly in the wildest and noisiest farewell scramble ever accorded a departing celebrity.
Face the cameras, Miss Kelly, please. Another hard for me to do.
While all around her, nerves are frayed and tempers grow short, Miss Kelly remains as cool and as poised as a princess.
Wait a minute. Wait. Well, let me ask you a question.
Made so much noise we couldn't make any sound. As I said before, just getting married is a very big step for any girl, and of course, I have a great many feelings about that, and it's a very exciting thing, and I'm very, very happy. Of course, I'm a little sad to be leaving home, but I hope to be back quite often.
Thus, the stage is set for the year's biggest wedding in the world's smallest state. More, crowned with the majesty of the maritime Alps. A country in miniature with a national anthem, a handsome young ruler, Prince Rainier, and a brightly uniformed army of 69 officers and men. A fabled little land, far from the Philadelphia home of Grace Kelly, destined one day to be Princess of Monaco. In 1949, making her first motion picture appearance as a Warner Pathé News fashion model, Grace Kelly could little dream of becoming the most titled woman in Europe. Barely 19, her thoughts were centered on her career, a determined young model with a purpose at the very start of her climb to success and stardom. Stars are not made by movie magic, and so Grace worked long and studied hard, learning, remembering, improving. For Grace Kelly, 1949 would be an unforgettable year. Prince Rainier would remember it too, for it marked his succession to Europe's oldest throne. Planing to Paris for a fashion story, Grace would be within easy distance of Monaco. But the pretty commoner was not yet to meet her Prince Charming. She was more than a model now. She was an actress who could play a scene and play it well. Like every girl, she wondered when her make-believe ring would become real, a diamond that would fit nowhere but on the third finger of her left hand. And perhaps Bermuda would be her own honeymoon isle. Hollywood still lay ahead, but Grace, poised and self-assured, was almost ready. She had learned to capture her audience with a warmth that melted her cool and delicately chiseled beauty. Serving as a judge at the Miss America pageant in 1954, Grace was Hollywood's brightest new star. Seemingly overnight, she became the film favorite of America's 50 million moviegoers. And in March 1955, Grace Kelly received Hollywood's highest honor, the coveted Oscar, for her sensitive performance in The Country Girl. On a star-studded night, her brilliance shone brightest of all. At the Audience Awards presentation in December, she stood at the pinnacle of her screen career. Grace Kelly had found success, but not true love. It would come to her Philadelphia home within a month, a fairy tale romance come true, the lovely maiden and the lonely prince, a chance meeting and later a whirlwind courtship. And in the happy ending, the maiden from the great democracy gives promise of saving the independence of the ancient state. Looking at the happy couple, the world was happy too, for their love story held all the wonderful, improbable elements which people everywhere like to imagine can come true. In a glittering glimpse into their future, they attended a colorful charity ball in New York. Already, perhaps, the thoughts of the future princess raced ahead to her sailing on the Constitution. She would not feel strange on the ship, for in 1951, Grace had sailed on the Constitution's maiden voyage. How different that was for a model just turned 21, whose dreams were then only dreams. Did she know of Monaco? Probably. Had she heard of Rainier? Possibly. Could she imagine living in a 200-room palace with a staff of 100 servants? Hardly. But this, remember, was back in 1951. Today, Grace Kelly is a radiant and regal figure as photographers press forward for farewell pictures. From a country of 165 million, she sails to a land of 22,000. At journey's end, a royal wedding. And then, as everyone knows, Prince and Princess will live happily ever after.
After all the fever of publicity, the acres of newsprint, the fashion notes, and the jewel robberies, the great day approaches at last when Grace Kelly of Philadelphia, USA, will become the bride of Rainier, Prince of Monaco. Wedding gifts have come from all over the world. Gifts in gold and silver, jewelry and fine porcelain. Presents from kings and queens, presidents and commoners, movie magnates and millionaires. A pile of riches which look as though Aladdin had rubbed his lamp to furnish this fairy tale wedding. At the Opera House, Monegasques see Grace at her first public event as Rainier's wife. But she's still only half a princess. The civil marriage has been held privately, but the solemn cathedral ceremony is still to come. On the wedding day, the Mediterranean sun shines as brilliantly as anyone could wish when Grace arrives on her father's arm, past guards of honor from the visiting British, French, Italian, and American warships. A few minutes later, the bridegroom arrives. Now, almost for the first time in months, the blare of publicity is silenced in the beauty and dignity of the nuptial mass. The bride waits at the altar, and the bridegroom comes forward to join her. A quick smile from the prince, and the ceremony is due to begin. The Bishop of Monaco conducts the marriage service.
Grâce Patricia, voulez-vous prendre pour légitime époux Rainier Louis Henri Maxence Bertrand, ici présent, selon le rite de notre mère, la Sainte Église? Ego conjugum vos in matrimonium, in nomine Patris, et Filii, et Spiritus Sancti. Amen.
Now comes the moment for the exchanging of rings. The bishop hands one to the bridegroom, who is a little nervous. Grace helps him put it on. Mr. and Mrs. Kelly watch as the young couple kneel to pray before receiving Holy Communion. The wedding is over, and Prince Rainier's bride is no longer Grace Kelly, but Her Serene Highness Princess Grace of Monaco. The nervous tension of the last few days begins to relax as the Prince and Princess leave the cathedral to greet their cheering people. An open Rolls-Royce waits to drive them on a tour through the streets of Monte Carlo. As handsome a couple as any teller of fairy tales could have described. The Prince in his dark uniform with the shining epaulets, and the Princess in her ivory gown with its 300 yards of lace and 150 yards of silk. So a Hollywood star becomes a princess in a setting even Hollywood could scarcely have surpassed.